Imagine you are at a pet store. You see walls of colorful cages and a bunch of cool-looking products. But did you know a lot of these products are improper? In fact, do you really know how to take care of your small animals? Because some pet stores, specifically chain stores, are lying to you. So when I say small pets, I specifically mean animals such as mice, hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, rabbits, and a few others. The fact that stores may be lying to you may sound alarming, but if you have done any of these mistakes I'm about to mention, I just suggest you fix them as soon as possible. Large chain pet stores throughout the United States are putting out false information to their customers. I see this as I often go to pet stores at least once or twice a week because I have 3 dogs, a hamster, gecko, and many, many fish. I've done a lot of research over the years on how to take care of multiple types of small animals, and I have some experience with them. First off, pet stores sell wire wheels. Wheels are the objects used for some animals to run on. Wire wheels have gaps and no solid running surface. According to Erin Rachel, an animal educator, these can cause a bacterial infection called bumblefoot. Wire wheels can cause animals' limbs to get caught between the wires and them to get broken limbs. Besides wire wheels, you don't want to usually give your rodent a wire-running cage, which can also cause the infection. Yet, pet stores are still selling these wheels. They typically sell them for cheaper than regular solid surface running wheels, causing more people to buy them without knowing the consequences. If something's available, people are probably going to buy it, but make sure you have solid surface running wheels instead of with no gaps in the running surface. So next, as you can see, these are some colorful cages that pet stores sell. These cages pop out and have different themes. Pet stores make a bunch of themed cages. They specifically sell them for mice, gerbils, and hamsters. They have different features such as LED lights, counters to see how many times your pet has run around their wheel, and claims such as no chew points. Some even come with activities like maps and mazes, which just scream children. Might as well make the small animals toys. These enclosures even have catchy names to get you to buy them, and they cater to the interests of children and not to the care of the animal at hand. The cages are sometimes known to be cheaply made and near impossible to put together. They also put characters onto the boxes and directions of the cage, which again screams children. Additionally, people often think smaller animals can have smaller cages like these, which isn't always the case. These cages can also stress out your animal and cause them to get a bacterial infection called wet tail, which can be deadly in less than 48 hours, if not treated correctly. According to Victoria Rachel, an animal educator, it consists of diarrhea, lack of sleep, lack of energy and appetite, and more. The medicines that some pet stores sold for this infection don't really work. And according to a foster home for hamsters, they say that the cages sometimes say to gradually help your animal to accept the confinement. But if a cage is too small, it's too small. The cages often come with tubes, which larger rodents can get stuck in, and some animals do not like, which will make the confinement even smaller. The cages are also just plain not suitable for animals like gerbils, which can chew through the plastic of the cage in no time and escape. Lastly, why even buy a tiny cage when you can buy and make a suitable one for cheaper? A lot of the time, these cages run $30 to $60. You can make a bin cage or even buy a tank to house your animal in for cheaper. So there really isn't a point in getting one of these small cages. Despite all that, pet stores still recommend these small enclosures. Pet stores sometimes do sell suitable cages, but often only have one kind available, which is super expensive. When the pet stores do this, very few people are going to buy the proper large cage if they can get the small one for cheaper. So make sure you have the proper large cage. You can even make a suitable one for cheaper. Now, when it comes to animals like rabbits, chinchillas, ferrets, and more, pet stores put out even more cages that are too small. They make cages for large animals like rabbits that are too small for even hamsters. Almost all small animals need time outside their cage, especially larger ones. Some animals can even free roam like a cat or dog usually would. But pet stores often just recommend you a teeny tiny cage and tell you it's good. And don't think just because your pet gets out for however long each day, they can have a small cage, because that's not the case. Make sure you have a large enough cage for your animal, and you can even let some free roam. Currently, the cage size minimums for a hamster are 450 square inches, For a guinea pig, it is about 8 square feet, and for a mouse, it is about 200 square inches. Now, these are not all the minimums, but make sure you have the right requirements for your pet. But minimums also may not suit your animal. For example, a hamster may need more than 450 square inches of floor space, depending on his or her personality. Here, we have exercise balls. Now, these are often recommended to people as a way to let their animals run around. But according to Aaron and Rachel, these are controversial. When putting your animal in a ball, they might not always want to go in. Even if they go in by choice, they may not remember what happens when they go in. This may be stressful to the animal because they basically cannot get out unless you let them out. They also don't have access to food, water, or anything else they may want. Thus why you might not want your animal to be in one of these. If you do put your pet in one, always make sure you supervise them. But pet stores recommend these, and people get them, often not knowing the cons. Use a playpen, or let your animals out, or even let them free roam in a pet-proof area under supervision instead of using exercise balls. Now we have bedding. Pet stores and brands will sell scented bedding as a marketer. They have scents like lavender and other nice smells. Now this makes people buy them because it'll make the animal's cage smell good, right? Well, it might make the cage smell good, but what about the animal? Over time, this can really affect the animal for the worse. According to the Hamster Society of Singapore, the bedding can cause many different types of breathing and health problems for the pet. Another big unsafe seller is pine or cedar bedding. These are often sold for super cheap compared to safe beddings. As stated by Aaron and Rachel, pine or cedar can be dangerous for almost all small animals due to the phenols and acids in the bedding. The bedding can affect the respiratory system in many different ways. Instead of scented pine or cedar bedding, buy safe aspen bedding or safe paper bedding. Lastly is a nesting material sold as fluffy bedding. This is a cotton-type, ball-type material, but it is not safe. It can get caught around your pet's limbs and teeth and even cause blockage in their body, which can kill them. Getting it caught around their limbs can cause blood circulation to be cut off and their limbs not to be usable anymore. Instead of fluffy bedding as a nesting material for your pet, use an unscented or uncolored paper towel or toilet paper as a nesting material. Pet stores put out a lot of improper care and products in their pamphlets, care guides, and online, as well as through their employees. The things I talked about are not the half of it. There's still some unnecessary salt licks sold, oddly shaped water bottles, and bad food and treats. Another not so great thing about chain pet stores is that they usually get their animals from mass breeding mills. In the breeding mills, the animals are thrown around, not taken care of properly, and injured or even killed. But one good thing is that by policy, pet store employees or veterinarians in the store have to treat the injured animals for any injuries. Whoops. Another thing with these stores is that most stores train their employees to put out the pet store's idea of proper care. The employees likely love animals and may know the proper care for them, but the pet stores tell them to put out their care. This isn't true for all pet stores, but for a lot it is. When I go to the pet store, I usually go about once or twice a week. There's often someone there to buy a small animal, but I don't think I've ever seen them picking out products on their own. They're usually following around an employee who's telling them what to pick. They say things like, here, pick whatever bedding or whatever cage. You often don't see someone going to the fish section to pick out a tank for their hamster. And why would people think to do that if they had seen what pet stores usually sell? So, if you want to learn more about small animals and how to properly take care of them, you can search on credible and reliable sources such as veterinarians, animal educators, and carers, and more. Make sure you do your research from multiple places to make sure you're getting the correct care and advice, and are not getting research from a non-credible place. With 6.7 million households in the U.S. alone owning small animals, people need to be aware of the pet store's tactics and do their own research to use credible sources. Don't impulse buy pets without the knowledge of how to properly care for them, and know that not all pet stores and things such as sources online are correct. Your small animals cannot buy its own enrichment, food, and more, so do what's best for your animal because they cannot do it themselves. Thank you.